Okay, so stop using a calculator. Start using Excel. There's going to be many, many, many reasons to use Excel, and I'm hoping that I can convince you all. And I'm not sure if you use a calculator or not, but that's sometimes when people joke about Excel. It's easier just to use a calculator. Really? I'm going to challenge you on that one. So again, thank you for coming to our Free Friday session this week. We love Excel. We love reviews even more. So I've been doing these sessions since about October, and right now it's end of January. And guess how many reviews I've gotten? I've got people coming every single week. 0 reviews. I'm like, they're liking the sessions. They're giving me thumbs up. They're doing that, in the chat. They're thanking me after. But please, for a small business like mine, please try to find a little bit of time to find us on these various different platforms. And if you're interested in having a custom class for your group, please contact me. Okay, I will do a follow-up email after the session with links to the review pages. And also, of course, you've got my contact information. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the keys. The keys you need to know about. F4 is going to be one of them. And not too much keystrokes today because we want to do some formulas and functions. And we're going to talk about tables. And sometimes people come to every single one of these and they're duplicate. I'm going to just try to throw something a little bit different into each one. I have one friend that says, I just come and I don't care if I've already learned about it. I will pick up something new every time. So please feel free to ask questions. I'll have my chat window open here. I only have one monitor today, so please, you might have to have some patience if you ask a question. If I ignore you, it's probably because I'm going to cover it. So yeah, later if you need to look back at it, there you go, courses.knowitsooner.com. Okay, so I don't know, are you guys planning on, I've got my chat window open here. Are you planning on doing the exercises while I'm doing it, or are you going to just do them later? Not sure. I don't even know if I'm going to wait for you to answer that. I'm just going to throw our first practice file into the chat. So you don't have to open it up and work with it if you don't want to, but I know some of you really want to, and we learn better by doing, right? So I've got one called Thanksgiving Dinner, and I want to use this first just to show you a cool little worksheet. And I just did all the typing and some of the formatting already, and this is one that we use in our classes. So this would be one where we could do together, and then I have people opening one up and say, now you do it by yourself. I usually have in the bottom, so sheet 1 is the one that's untouched. It's ugly, probably no column widths and formatting and stuff. And then I usually have a completed one so people can check their answers. And if they're like, what is she meaning here in the instructions, right? What is she meaning? So they can go there, and you still might not know what I'm talking about, but at least you've got that and you can check your answers. Okay, so we are having Thanksgiving dinner and we are planning it out how much it's all going to cost. Sorry if I'm making you hungry in this. It's up noon where I am in Edmonton, Canada. I'm not sure where you're all from. Maybe you can put it in the chat. But it's going to be, you're going to have a turkey and 4 boxes of stuffing because you're trying to estimate how much you're going to need. Okay, so a lot of people might do this on their calculator, but I'm going to challenge you later. We're going to change some of these numbers up and our totals are going to go up. So your turkey is, you're just going to need one turkey and it's $50. So you could just go there and type a 50 in. Could just type 50 in. Yeah, it's $50. Oh, what's this one? 4 boxes and they're $2.99 each. Right? That one is not as easy to do in your head, but you might go to the calculator and you might fill it in here. Well, I'm not going to do all of these like that. I'm going to challenge everyone. If you go quantity, you change that from a 1 to a 2, would you not expect that 50 to go up to 100? I think that you would. I believe that you would. So the other thing is, if the price goes from 50 to 60, again, would you not want that to go up? I'm just going to control Z. That's a good keystroke. So what we're going to do is we're just going to multiply the quantity times the price. So here's how ridiculously easy it is to do a formula. Some of you might not have done a formula before. You're going to go to where you want your answer to go. You're going to go equals. Then you're going to go and basically do what you would have done on a calculator. 1, I just clicked on the 1, equals B6. Okay, it puts it in there. Now you need to know the 4 keys for multiplication, division, and all that. The multiply is the star. Okay, so Shift 8, or maybe you have a keyboard on the right-hand side and you have a star there. So you've got your plus and your minus. You can probably see those keys on your keyboard right now. And the star is multiply, and the forward slash, look at your keyboard, the one with the question mark, that's your divide by. So if we are going to be dividing it here later when we figure out the total number of guests, and then we're going to take the total cost and divide it by the number of guests, and that is just giving us an idea about the cost per guest. So equals, I clicked on the 1, or B6, it put it in there, times, click on the 50. So if I was using a calculator, I don't know that I would have for this one because it's pretty darn easy, but I would have went 1 times 50. That's what I would have put on in my calculator. It's basically the same thing here, except you started out with I'm not seeing your document anymore. Are you yes, I'm screen sharing. Can you not see you guys can't see my screen?
I figured it out. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh no, that's my worst thing ever is to be blabbing along here and people can't see my screen. Okay, good. So we've got B6 times D6. If I change that quantity from a 1 to a 2, yay, it changes to 100. If I change it from $50 to $60, yay, it changes. If I go back to 1 instead of 2, it goes to 60. So that's how easy it is to do a formula. You know the formula, I say in my head, but like you might not know the answer, but you know what the formula is. Like for the next one, stuffing, 4 boxes at $2.99, 4 times $2.99. So it would be the same thing. Equals, you always have to start with an equals. 4, you click on the 4, times, and then you click on the $2.99. Enter. Done. 1196. So it's that easy. Now I'm going to click back on the first one. Up at the top, it says equals B6 times D6. This is called your formula bar. And it will tell you how that 50 arrived there. Like, did somebody type that 50 in? Or like if I click on this 50 in this cell, it says 50. Okay, if I click on the 50 in this cell, it has a formula. So a lot of times people will go in and they're like, oh, the turkey is $100, 100, enter. Uh-oh, I just wiped out my formula. Don't do that. Why did it let us? Well, it did because it's not protected and all that kind of thing. So for the rest of the rest of your life, whenever you're using Excel, I want to see you click and just look up there for a second. Oh, okay. 1196. Oh, okay. So this is where you start talking to yourself, and you can actually click up there and you can edit it. Also, look what it's doing for us in our spreadsheet. It's kind of highlighting the 2 cells that it thinks that we want to use. 4 times $2.99. So there might be a time where you just pick the wrong cell. Maybe you click $2.49 instead of $2.99, right? It's like, hey, that's not right. So it's a great troubleshooting tool as well. I'm going to hit escape. Now, any questions about that so far? Who thinks that's pretty darn easy? I do. Sometimes just knowing which two numbers to add or whatever you're doing is the hardest part. Some of you might have some really fancy formulas. I think it was Irene, she does payroll. Wow. So there might be this really funky formula that she uses to take, maybe she's taking the person's pay and multiplying it by 6% and for holiday pay or something like that. Or maybe, I don't know, but the hardest part is normally putting that formula into the brain. Okay, I'm taking this times this divided by that multiplied by this, halving it, right? So this is supposedly the easy part, putting it into Excel. Okay, can of cranberry sauce, that would be 1 at 2.49. Carrots, blah blah blah. Okay, I don't want to do that formula for each one, so I'm going to look at the first one. It says B6 times D6. Look at the second one, B7 times D7. This one would be B8 times D8, and so on and so on. You know what? We're going to do this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to go in and fill all of these guys in at the same time. So I know I already did the stuffing, but I'm going to take my top formula, click on it, and make sure that it's that black cross. That black cross is called autofill, and it only shows up when we're in the bottom right-hand corner. It won't show up any other time. It kind of changes to some other little shapes, but that black cross is always going to be there. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it down just to the last one, pumpkin pie. And look what happens. Now I get this little guy down here. It's giving me some choices like, do you want to format it as well or just format blah, 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 right? You can play with those after if you want. I could probably do a whole session just on that little guy right here, especially this one, flash fill. Oh my goodness. I've got an area on my website that is free. Lots of free stuff, actually. If you go onto my website, knowitsooner.com, and go onto the online courses, there's something called Weekly Nuggets. And I do a whole session on flash fill. It is so amazing. Can't believe it. Okay, I'm going to give you a keystroke here. Look on your, I'm going to put it in the chat. Control, look on your number 1 key to the left of it. See if you can see a little squiggle. I don't think that's it. Oh yeah, there you go. See if you can see that little squiggle. I just put it into the chat. What I want us to do, I want you to hold the control key. So this is, again, it's the key on the left, to the left of your number 1. Squiggle. Oopsie. Control squiggle. And what that does is it shows us all of the formulas in the spreadsheet. Now, I can only see about 16 rows and not even that many. I might have to or want to scroll down or up or to the right or the left or whatever, or zoom out a little bit so I can see more. Doesn't matter. You can see it, and then you can click on it. You can click on one of them and it does that color coding thingy thing like I was mentioning before. Isn't that cool? Come on, you guys, that's super cool. So control squiggle, it shows you all your formulas at one time. And how do you think that you're going to hide your formulas? Control squiggle again. Okay, so control squiggle to show, control squiggle to hide. If you were to if you happen to hit print during that time, then that's okay. It is going to just print whatever it wants to print, like whatever, like the numbers. In other words, it's not going to print the formulas. You can get it to print the formulas if you want. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Control squiggle, file print, because they did a change on that. File print. I think it will. No, of course, it's on the next page. It does print the formulas. Yeah, they changed that. So that might be something that you, I don't know, you do a spreadsheet and it's not working, or you want, you just want to print it out and, check out all the formulas yourself, or or something. I don't know. Show somebody, whatever. I use it for in training manuals a lot. Okay, perfect. Let's do some formatting here. Prices and costs. And I'm going to do this guy too, because it's the total. I don't like how it's lined up. Some things have 2 decimals, some have 1, some have none. And I want them all to have 2 decimals, and I want a dollar sign. So I'm going to select with my white cross, and then have you ever used this little dollar sign button at the top? Boom, done. So that now you don't ever have to put .00. So if it went up to $60, 60, just 60, enter, and it puts the dollar sign and the .00 in. Okay, Control Z. I keep doing that so that if you're trying it with me, then this is still the original data. Okay, good. Any questions about that? If these were not money, like maybe in column D, that is, I don't know, maybe it's the number of miles or kilometers to a place, 2.99 kilometers or whatever. You're not going to hit the dollar sign. You're going to hit the comma, and it does just about the same thing. It gives you 2 decimal places, but it just doesn't have the dollar sign. Why is it called a comma? Because if something is 1,000 or higher, then it's going to put a comma in. The dollar sign button does that as well. Okay. Next, we are going to add up the total. Now, sometimes when I teach this class, I have people saying, I don't do it that way. I do it a different way. Okay. That's cool. Do it a different way. There's lots of different ways to do an auto sum. I think I counted it one day and there was 8. Now, the reason that I like the way that I do it is because for 2 reasons. Because you can tell it where exactly to put it, as well. If you know how to do a sum the way that I'm going to show you, you're also going to know how to do average and minimum and maximum and a whole bunch of different ones. So sometimes people will just highlight it all and hit auto sum. That works great in this instance. Okay, in this instance, it looked to see it had numbers above it and below it. Yay, good. But what if I wanted the total over here instead? What if I wanted it over here? How am I supposed to select that and this? Right? You can't do it. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to press delete, and I'm going to show you how I would do it. I'll do it in both. I'll do it here and I'll do it over there. Although I probably would never do that. I would link one to another if I want it in 2 places, but just so I can show you the 2 different ways or how it works in the 2 different scenarios. Always click where you want your answer to go. That was just like what we did up here. We clicked where we wanted it to go. So we click where we want it to go. And yes, I'm going to use my auto sum, and it guesses. So it looks to the left and it can't find any numbers. It looks up and it can find some numbers. Now, sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong. If there happened to be nothing in this cell right here, for example, it would have stopped at the one underneath it. So it looks for text and spaces and decides that's when it should stop. So it's pretty darn smart. E6 to E12, E6 to E12. Wow. Well, now there's a blank in row 12. Do we care? It's actually a good idea to keep it. It's not going to mess anything up unless you use it for something else. You're probably not going to use it to say, oh, there's 6 people coming, right? You're not going to put a 6 in there. It's number of guests 6. You're not going to put a 6 right there. That doesn't make sense. So this is actually it's a recommendation that you do have that blank row there, because we're going to add something in a few minutes. It's correct. I press enter. 81.43. That was not very many steps. Click on auto sum. Yeah, it looks good. Enter. That works well, except in a time like this when it's over here. But you know what? You're going to do exactly the same steps, except the last step where you just looked at it and you said, yeah, this looks good. Enter. That one is the one that we have to play with a little bit because it's not right underneath. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click where we want it to go. We're going to go over to auto sum. We're going to click it. Oh, it says, hey, I see some numbers up here. Are these the ones that you want? Be careful. A lot of people just assume that Excel knows what it's doing. It doesn't know. It's not smart enough to know you don't want those quantities. Maybe you do want those quantities, right? It doesn't know. So the last step is not just to press enter, but to go and select the cells that you want. E6 to E12. A lot of times people just go to the very last one. Well, what we're going to do in a minute is we're going to insert a new row and add Cool Whip. Okay, well, if it only goes to row 11, how is it going to pick up the new stuff that we add? And we're always adding things, aren't we? Okay, so I'll do that one more time. Click where we want it to go. Go and grab auto sum. It's not correct. Drag, 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 drag with the white cross. You're not looking for that black cross now. And it's good now. Include that blank and enter 8143. Yay! So that's auto sum. Now, beside the auto sum, you have average and count and max and min. And we're going to bring up a different spreadsheet for doing those ones. It doesn't really make sense here. What is the average cost of your ingredients? I don't know that. That one makes a lot of sense, but we are going to use the count numbers one. Okay. Number of guests. Now you'll notice here on the side, we have a nice little guest list. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and go in here and type a 6, but it's the same kind of reason why I didn't just type in the answers up here. Because if I go down here and I add one more person, I would expect that 6 to go up to a 7. All right, so I'm going to go click where I want it to go, number of guests, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to go count numbers. Count numbers. That's the only count here. You have over 500. These are called functions. You have over 500 functions available. These are your most popular ones. And it kind of guesses, just like the sum did. It's guessing, it's seeing a couple things up there. It's guessing, it says, okay, what do you want to count? Well, we want to count, I don't know, first names. What did I do when I manually did it? 1, 2, 3, right? We want to count first names, or you could do last names, or maybe there's some other information about it, right? And we're assuming that these are just the people who are coming. There's no +1s or anything, right? Maybe this is staff, right? Who's all coming for the Thanksgiving lunch on Friday? So they're just staff. I don't want anything complicated like, oh, Rachel's bringing 2 and Ross is bringing 3, and no, nothing like that. This is just counting 1, 2, 3. Everybody gets 1. Now, when I press enter, it gives me a 0. And the reason it gives me a 0 is because when we did that, it asked for count, right? When we went up here and we said count, it wants to find numbers. So if we had, instead of Rachel, it was she's employee 100 and Ross is employee 200. Look at it's starting to count. Yay. Ugh, we don't want that though. Undo, Control Z. We don't want that. So here's a little tip. Count looks for numbers and dates. Count, watch what I'm doing here. I'm going to go up there and click in my formula bar, and I'm going to add an A. Count A. What? Yeah. So we picked count from over here because there it was. It was nice and easy for us, but it didn't work for us because we didn't have any numbers in our data. So we just made it count A. There are 500 plus functions. If you want, I'm going to click away from that for now. I'll just click on a little blank cell over here. We're not going to go into this here today, but this FX, click on that and click on all for the category. And don't ever tell me that you know everything there is about Excel. Because look at all of the formulas. Now I went down to the count. That's the same as going over here. That's a really long way to get at it. Count A. That's the one that we created. We picked count from over here, and then we went on our formula bar and we made it count A. Count blank. Hey, I want to count how many blank cells I have in a range. And then there's count if and count ifs. And those we cover in our Excel Beyond the Basics course. And that would be something like count, maybe here, count how many items over $10 I have. So it would be count if this range greater than 10. So I'm not going to go into all of that right now, but I wanted to give you an idea that that FX is there, and then you could go in and hunt around in there. And also when we are in there, and if you pick something, it's got help. It talks about it a little bit here, but that may or may not help you. It says help on this function, and then it's actually pretty good. It takes you onto the internet and onto a page that talks about whatever function that you happen to have. So it walks you through it. Isn't that cool? How many of you knew about that FX? It used to be called Function Wizard. I probably still call it that. It's kind of goofy. It's insert function if you rest your mouse on it. All right. So the cost per guest. So we've got $81.43. That's the cost, and 6 people. So what would you do if you had a calculator right now? You're going to go 81.43 divided by 6. So in Excel, the difference equals first. Click where you want it to go, equals. Click on your 81.43 divided by, that's the / 6. So E13 divided by B15, enter. So it's a cost of $13.57. Now what you do with that cost is up to you. Maybe this is a staff lunch and management wants to know how much it's costing, or maybe there's some kind of a budget. Well, we're only allowed $12. So you either got it like $12 per person. So you either got to, I don't know, take, I guess taking someone out. Oh, that would make it bigger, wouldn't it? You either got to add some people, or maybe just 3 boxes of stuffing. Well, that's down to $13.07, right? Maybe only 1 pumpkin pie. 1 pumpkin pie. Oh, there you go. Maybe can we add that stuffing back in? Geez, I feel like the price is right here sometimes. Okay, it's 12.4. Yeah. Do you see what I'm getting at? So it's gonna undo. I think that was the one, wasn't it? Yeah, 1357. Okay. So that's a nice little worksheet for you. It's pretty cool. What happens when we add things? We talked about adding another item. We wanted to add Cool Whip. So I don't want to type in this blank row. I do not want to type in the blank row. And there's a couple of reasons why I don't want to type in there. One is because we included the blank cell for a reason. We included it so that we could go to that blank row or that blank cell. Notice how I'm way over here with the 12, right on the row 12, and I'm going to insert. So insert, and it does a whole row. Ooh, I don't know if I like it over here. I'd insert it because I'm gonna work on this a little bit, and I'm gonna go Cool Whip. And how much is it over here? Got my chat window on in front of it. One tub at 529. Okay, Cool Whip, 1 tub at 549. That was a whole 10 seconds ago that I looked at that. 529. 529. Good. All right. So now it's 86.72. It went up. Oh, look at our formula. It says E13 now. That's nice. And cost per guest, that would have went up because it's now using this 86.72 number instead. So that's why I leave this. So I want to use that same idea for here, for my names. So right now, my number of guests is looking at G6 to G11. G6 to G11. I did it a little bit differently, didn't I? I didn't include a blank. And even if you included the blank, you're just going to go to that blank to type. You're not inserting, right? You just want to be able to go here and type a name and have it update. Uh-oh, it didn't update. So now I got to change it to a 7. It's not working. It's not working because in our formula, we were only going to G11. And I went and typed my name in G12. So sometimes what people will do is the same type of thing that we did up here. They're like, okay, I'm going to make it G, 300 or something like that. G, put a whole bunch of zeros on it. Okay, well, oopsie, why is it only giving me a 1? G6. I don't know why it's only giving me a 1. Maybe it's not understanding that there's a 7, or maybe that was a 1. I don't know. I probably can't see properly. Anyway, this is okay. But then what do you, if you need to use this cell for something, maybe I could, staff, lunch, right? I just happened to type there. Uh-oh. It's picking this up, right? So it's kind of okay to do that, but what I want to do here is I want to go in and show you about tables. Tables are the best thing ever. So I'm going to just back up a bit. I'm going to delete my name and I'm going to make this. Let's do this one first. I'm going to make it into a table. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to go Control A. Control A. That selects the current region. So if I had been down here on this cell, A17, and I go Control A, that's its region. If I go here, total, Control A, oh, just 2 little guys by themselves. If I go over to my names, Control A, right? So I like to do that first because if you had, a lot of people do this, if you have a blank row in between your top row, your heading row, and your first food item in this case, or your person over here, then Control A, it's not picking up those headings. And that could be a real problem later if you do a pivot table or you do some filtering or something. So what I usually will do is I'll just have it like that. I'll go to the left-hand side and I'll drag down. Row 5 is my heading row. I drug it down so it's higher. But now I'm going to do these guys while I'm at it. I'm going to go to these buttons. So you know how you have left and center and right? I've got top, middle, and bottom. They're all automatically bottom. So does that look like a little bit of space? Yeah, it does. And most of the time people will put that blank row in there to make it look nicer, right? Okay, so we've got our things going on here. Control A, yeah, grabs it. And I'm going to go insert table. Some of you might know about, on the home screen, format as table. It's the same thing. You might even know Control T is the keyboard shortcut. I'm going to go here and make it orange. There you go. And it says, where is the data? It knows what I had selected. It knows. I kind of tested it with Control A. Now here it says my table has headers. So it has detected that row 5 is a header row. It knows that the word item isn't one of my food items. It knows that the word quantity, QTY, is not like it just knows that the top row is a header row. So it's going to treat it a little bit differently. Now we'll see when we go over to our names, it might not know that. It's very important, especially when you're working with pivot tables and things. So, wow, isn't it ever smart? It's very smart. Okay. I gained a table design menu up at the top. it has some spots that I could change it up. If I don't like orange anymore, I could change it. It's talking about here's how to get it back if you don't like it as a table, and there's lots of things up here. We're not going to go into them in this class, but that's a table. You might have seen this kind of thing before. It puts little filter buttons on. This is about 6 hours of training. And I do that in my Beyond the Basics course. I'm going to do this one, Control A, just to test it. I'm just going to be lazy and go Control T. I know that one really well. And it is actually recognizing that this table has headers, probably because the row is higher. It sometimes does and it sometimes doesn't because it looks the same. Like back in this table, the word quantity, it looks different than all those numbers underneath it. Price and cost, it looks different than all of those things underneath it. Here, first name looks like all the things underneath it. Last name, same thing. So keep an eye on it. I'm actually pretty impressed that it knew that, probably because we did the whatchamacallit, row height. Okay, so we're going to add another one here. We're going to add another one. So we're going to go here to row 13. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to redo this formula because now there's a table in it. There's a table. So it's not really E6 to E13 anymore. It's this guy, cost, the cost column. And it's lovely because you know how you go and you select a whole column by clicking with the black arrow on the letter itself? That's that whole column. You have that same arrow available by clicking at the top of a cell that's a header cell. It's got to be in a table. So this is how and you know what? Oh, the stuff about the blank row, you don't have to worry about that as much anymore because it's in a table. So we're like, if you said, well, I want to select, but I also want to select the one that, the blank one, don't worry about it. You don't really have to worry about that anymore. So I'm going to click on, I'm just going to press delete, click where I want it to go up to auto sum. And remember the last time we had to drag, well, we didn't have to in this one, but on the other one, you have to drag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you're not E6 to E13 anymore. You are table 3. There's probably 2 other tables. Well, whatever. This is the third table that I did, probably in the completed sheet. There's 2 other ones. And I just clicked at the top. So equal sum, table 3, cost. Okay, I'm going to go over here to this one, do the same thing. Auto sum. Nope, not the quantities. Cost. Table 3, cost. So what's lovely about that is when I insert, and then I go and I type something, what else should I do here, you guys? Ice cream, gotta have ice cream. I don't like Cool Whip, so I'm gonna have the ice cream. I need at least 3 tubs of that. 3 tubs of ice cream. And I don't know, what's the cost these days of ice cream? 8, tab or enter, and it shows up. Even if this stuff was somewhere else, and a lot of times we put things up at the top. And you'll see here, I'm going to take that. I'm going to delete that when it looks actually, I'm just going to take these 2, just these 2, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to move those 2 up to the top. Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to have it over here. There we go. I have my total at the top. I don't want this one here anymore. I'm going to delete it. Oh, it gives me a hard time about deleting, so I'm going to go up to my eraser and clear all. There we go. So watch this, you guys. What else should we have? Should we have pecan pie too? Pecan pie. 2 of them maybe. Yeah, each. And watch this. 110, 72. Pecan pies are $6. Boom. Isn't that beautiful? No inserting, no nothing. So it's sitting there watching this column. Isn't that great? Yeah. So let's do it over here too. Number of guests. Where are our number of guests? Here, I'm going to do it over again. Delete. I'm going to say count numbers. I'm going to go first name. Do you remember what I have to do? It's not going to work, is it? I have to change the count to count A. Count A, 6. Now, I deleted the cell that I was using, so I'm going to have to go equals, go find that cell up here, divided by this guy, number 6. 2045 we're up to now. And I would probably drag these guys up there too, right? A lot of times we have all of our information at the top, so that when you open it, you can say, oh, okay, our dinner's costing $122.72. 6 people are coming, and the cost per guest is $20.45. And here now, Joanne, Irene, look at that. It's just doing it. So that's because it's in a table, and every time it's taking it down. And when I'm over here and I want to put something in the middle here, I want to delete carrots. I don't do it like that. I go to the left-hand side of it. And you see what it's grabbing? It's only grabbing its table row. So it's not affecting anything after column E. So that's pretty darn cool. Okay. Any questions? Do you guys like tables? Okay. I am going to move on to functions. And for this one, I'm going to use, oh no, I'm not going to move on yet. I'm going to go to the RV estimate. So RV estimate, I'm going to throw in there. This one I believe is already a table. I think I already have it open. And I just have to do, I just wanted to show you what happens sometimes with these guys. So this is an estimate. I actually received this. I took my RV in. I have a motorhome, and my fridge wasn't working, so they did some work on my fridge, or they didn't. They gave me an estimate, and then whatever. So this is one I use in my class. So we've got number 1. It's 1.2 hours. They worked on it, $385 in parts. So the labor is what? The labor I've got up here, my labor rate is 160 an hour. Okay. So my labor is, what is it? It would be 1.2, right? Times $160 an hour. So if I'm doing it like I did the other one, equals, and you'll see something cool here happen too, because this is already in a table. You won't have to autofill it. This is amazing. You guys are going to see this. Equals 1.2, picks it up as the hours, times the 160 up here. It just says F10. It doesn't know anything because it's not in a table. So you're going to see, I'm just going to press enter. So you're going to see some errors. However, it went in all the way to the end of the table and put that formula. So all the time we're always going to the first one and we're dragging it down. You don't have to do that if it's in a table. Now it didn't work, but the formula automatically went down. So 192, that looks right. 20 cents? That's pretty cheap for 2 hours. What's going on? This one is nothing. This one gives an error. Uh-oh, something's going on here. What's the problem? What's a tool, keystroke, that we can use to help us determine what's wrong? So it's taking the hours times F10. Good. What's the next one? I can click on it up there. Okay, it's taking the 2, good, times, oh, F11, which is not our labor rate anymore. It's picking up that 10%. Next one, what's it doing? Oh, okay, so it's grabbing the hours. That's great. It's multiplying this blank cell. Ew. What's the other one you could be doing? Control squiggle. So control squiggle shows us the same thing. What is this one? It's hard to see because it's selecting it's selecting the hours, which is nothing. That's okay. You don't have to have something there. Multiplied by F13, which is text. Remember that error? That was the one that you got the error on. So what it's doing is it's changing the F10 to F11 and F12. What should it be doing? It should be staying on that cell. So what we have to do with that is we have to tell it not to change. So how do we do that? I'm going to go back to the first one. And in my formula bar, it should say equals hours, blah, 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 times $F $10. That's how we tell it not to change. So it should be F10, 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 right? It should just everything times F10, everything times F10. It should just do that. But it is not doing it unless we do it, unless we tell it to, because usually we want it to change. So we've got F10 in our formula bar. Going to give you a keystroke, F4. So I clicked after the F10 in my formula bar. I clicked after it, it puts the dollar signs in. That's all F4 does, is it puts the dollar signs in. And that's your way of communicating with Excel to say, hey, Excel, don't change that F10 to F11. So if I do another control squiggle, I can see that they all say F10. They're all looking at F10. Why wouldn't I just type 160 in there, right? Equals the hours times 160. What, couldn't I just do that? It would have been easier. Well, kind of, but think about later, this changes from 160 to 200. Bam, they all change. So always want you to be thinking, assuming that things are going to change. So try not to type numbers into formulas. Put them in a cell somewhere. Labor rate, 160. Shop supply rate, 10%. Look at over here on the right, GST 5%. So let's finish this up now. So the parts is just typed in. The labor was calculated. So it's going to be equals the parts plus the labor. And here's where I love it. Here it's going to work great. Enter, bam. It just goes all the way down to the bottom. So if this was really me working at an RV place, I could just go to, you know, this would be my template right here. This would be my template. Oh, yeah, this would be my template. Yeah, that probably have zeros in it, right? You just type something in, put the hours in, put the parts in, labor, total, bam. Pretty cool. Okay, I've got my subtotals here. It looks like we want to do the hours. What were the total hours? Click where we want it to go. There's your auto. So it's a little bit confused because it doesn't know what we want to add up. So we just go and we say hours, please. Get that little black arrow at the top. 3.7. Drag her across. Sometimes people don't think to drag across. And we've got all of our stuff. We're going to select that and make it all dollar signs. It's a little bit easier to work with. Shop supplies is, what does it say about shop supplies? Is the total labor times the shop supply rate. Okay, total labor. So I'm going to go shop supplies equals, where's the total labor? Column E times the shop supply rate, way up here, 10%. Now, it's optional if you want to hit F4 here, because we're not going to really drag that number anywhere, but I'm going to hit it anyway. Get in the habit of when you go kind of outside your list to grab something, it probably needs to be an absolute reference, and that's what that's called. Total before tax is just this guy plus this guy. And then the GST is going to be equals this guy times, some of you will have PST or some of you may not have these same kind of taxes, but my point is that we've had it out there. If it doesn't apply to you, don't need to do this calculation, or you go there and you put 0 because maybe sometimes it does apply. So I hit F4 to put it in, and now we're going to go this guy plus this guy. And in my classes, the ones that if you sign up for a live class, I will wait. I'll say, okay, here's the demo. Now you guys do it. And if you have any questions, you ask and chat or whatever. You can even share your screen if you are saying, well, this is, it's not working or whatever. So there you go. This was an actual estimate that I got from a company. Any questions with that? We can go up here and we can change rates and we can change just about anything. And over here, I didn't want GST showing up anywhere, the 5%. So I just put it over there. You can't even tell by looking that I'm using cell J9. Doesn't matter. If this was like, you know what, I negotiated it with them 0 GST, right? I just negotiated because it took so long. Okay, so it's 0 for this particular one. Maybe yours is 12%. Okay, 12%. There you go. Now you get a different number. Okay. Excellent, Irene. Awesome. Okay. Last one is that I'm going to do is about minimums and maximums. And I have a blood pressure tracker here. Blood pressure tracker. And I recently have had to start monitoring my blood pressure, which is my doctor was going to put me on medication. I said, can you just let me try to do it myself? Let me show you what they all are. So in this one, this is going to be with these guys. So we did a couple of these already, but what happens here is that here's all the data. You can see I stopped on the 7th of December, but I'm going to click in the middle of it here and I'm going to go Control A and Control T. Control A just to test it. Control T, where's the data? There it is. Okay, there's one little table, because now this is going to be so easy. Oh my goodness. So I want it to go, gee, that is really not that great of, might look better if it's white, isn't it? I want to go here and I want to change just going to change this to, there you go. Looks a little better. So minimum, what was my minimum systolic? Right? So I want to go in here and I want it to pick out the minimum. Looks like that 132. So I'm going to go here, click where I want it to go. I'm going to go to the auto sum. I'm going to go min. And I'm going to go and grab, oh, you know what? I need to stop for a minute because it did what I was talking about. It didn't recognize that this was my header row, and it created a header row. Uh-oh. Undo. 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 Okay. You know why? Because I have blood pressure right there on top of it. So when I did my Control A, I did it. It thought blood pressure was the header row. So I tested it, but I didn't stop long enough to see what Control A did. I'm just going to move that up one so that there's a space. Control A. Oh, that looks better. Now Control T. My table has headers. Yeah, that's all I looked at was that. I didn't realize what it was. Okay. And now I'm going to go. I don't need to make this one a header table. I'm going to go grab my white text. This one should have white text too. It's very, oh, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay. So minimum, go and grab my minimum. And I want all of these numbers. So go to the top of it. Bam. Done. Drag her across. It'll do the other two. Look at that. So it's gone in. And is it 93? Yep. Pulse was 85. Yep. Okay. Do the same with max. Click max. I want to look maximum. There we go. 169. Was that right? Is that the maximum? That's not that great, is it? Average, what was the average? This was the important one, what the average was. What was the average? Go and grab that same range. So it makes good sense to have it in the same order, and it makes it easy for this part. Okay, how many days, doctor might say, how many days did you check your blood pressure? So we have to do a count here. We have to decide what we want to count. So we can either count the dates, or we can count the actual readings, right? So if there's a reading there, it's there. Like, what if this was 12/8/23, but I didn't put any data in because I skipped it, right? What if I sit there and I do a whole bunch of them? And you can drag this down, it would have been easier, right? You can drag those down. You're like, every day I'm going to do it, but sometimes it's twice a day and whatever, right? So what do I want to do? Oh, I skipped a day. So I don't remember what time it was. So I went here and I go 144, right? So what column is the most reliable one to count? I don't think I would count the date column. I don't think I definitely wouldn't count the time. I would count this column. So I'm going to go here and go number of days, count numbers, this guy, because if there's a number in there, that means I counted it, right? All those empty ones are just sitting there. And I don't think I guess I could drag across, but it's probably going to be the same. Well, it's not because I didn't finish, but in all reality, I probably would. And then I just did this goofy one here because I wanted to show you about count A. Number of stressful days, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if there's text in there, I want to count it. So that's the count numbers again. This is the column, the stressful column. What do we need to do? We need to make count A because there's text in it. And that one, we wouldn't drag it to the right because there's only one number, right? You don't, it doesn't go with the others. So it would just be one. Maybe it doesn't even make sense to have these two could, it might make more sense for these two to be sort of on their own, right? So whatever the case may be. All right. So then this day, you keep going there, 99, 99. Yes, it was a stressful day. And I mean, you could now say, okay, if it's stressful, like what is the minimum on a stressful day? And oh God, gosh, you can just go forever on this stuff. So questions? Next steps, we have a lunch bites that is kind of in this format. I don't do as much talking. It's the first Thursday of the month, and it's $10 a month. It doesn't go in the summertime, July and August. Or you can sign up for $49 a month, my recorded sessions. So there's one called the Excel Beyond the Basics that some of this, there's Excel level 1, it's 3 hours, and there's Excel Beyond the Basics, and it's $49 a month. Contact us for custom stuff. Maybe we come and do sessions like this for your group, or maybe you've got a staff meeting and you're going to get me in to do one on Word because everybody's hitting the space bar across. I don't know, but this is our way of letting people know how our sessions work. Again, I talked a lot faster than I normally would in the normal classes. Any questions? Okay. I don't see any questions in the chat. And
Joanne,
yeah.
what do you charge for the custom sessions for a person, not a company, but a person, let's say for Word?
I'd have to talk to you a little bit more about that. Is it virtual? Is it in person? Like how many, how much does, how many hours, that kind of thing? Because I have like group packages.
Yeah.
Can I chat with you after about that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Good. And Kathy, I will email you here right away this afternoon. So I'll sign off for now. Thank you for coming, and we will talk to you hopefully next week. It is Teams. Come and see everything there is to know. No. I never want to say that because we can't cover that in an hour. Find out how to use Teams, not for video conferencing like this, but for things like sharing documents and having almost like a shared folder, but I cannot live without it now. The people that I correspond with, my email has gone way down. So my colleague Connie comes in, and she's the Teams expert, and she shows how easy it is to use Teams and gives some good ideas about how you could possibly use Teams for yourself. Alrighty. So I will end the call, and I'll follow up with both of you.
Thank you so much, Joanne.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.